we've got to slow roll into this because I don't know if there's a human on the planet, Amal Shaw, Dustin Sweetelson, I don't know if there's a human on the planet that has more boundless energy. And I do believe to be a professional sports handicapper, which is what Steve Fezzik, pregame.com, at Fezzik Sports on Twitter, is, you have to have that kind of jubilant personality and a boundless energy about you. But he sat down today, boys, and I said, Steve, how you doing? And his answer was, I don't know. I don't know how I'm doing. Steve, what's up?
It's like that Jeff Spicoli line. I don't know, Mr. Hand. Will you make money betting Super Bowl props, Mr. Spicoli? Oh, I don't know. We will see.
Fast time.
He just got done with the gym. Now, we'll slow into this. So tell us why you feel overwhelmed right now.
So I love that you're using the term slow roll. As a tangent, I have to say my greatest moments in poker are not winning lots of money, but being able to slow roll a jerk at the table. You know, where he shoves all in, and I look at my cards, and I'm like, oh, I have a boat. And like 10 seconds later, and then he goes nutso. You know, you slow roll me. I'm like, yes, I did. Yes, I did, and it was intentional. It's not that I'm overwhelmed this week. It's just I've gone 20 weeks of non-stop, week after week with the NFL and then college basketball and NBA. And I've just been so sleep deprived. Last night I went to sleep at 6:30 at night. I did not wake up until 6 a.m. I slept 12 hours, Patrick. I think
That's incredible.
I banked a bad sleep deficit that I don't know if I'm going to recover from until April.
That isn't that a nice 12-hour sleep? That's now hibernation. Now, and you also did the Vegas lifestyle pod with our buddy Gil Alexander. I think everybody can still go check that out over at VSiN.com. Tremendous if you're coming to town. Let's start with town. And you and your family have been there for a very long time. The culmination leading up to the Super Bowl here in Vegas, what are your expectations?
In terms of Vegas having the Super Bowl and how everything's changed?
Yeah.
I think it's great because what happens, money is always great. When you bring money into town, Amal's suddenly playing poker because the games are getting so soft. There's guys walking up betting $10,000 from the baccarat pits just randomly. Say, give me Mahomes, pass yards over. And inevitably, the books are going to want to balance, so they're going to see that money, that square ball money coming in, but still money. And so it will inevitably, right before post, as a sports bettor, create opportunities. But here's the hard part. How the heck, Patrick, am I going to bet this? My apps at a lot of places have micro limits. I can't bet in person. I have to wait in line for an hour. And that's where, Dustin, you come into play. What are you doing on the big game? If you're not working, tell me you're available.
Wherever you need me to be, Steve.
South Point.
Oh,
look at that body. He can run with the best of them. Look at the runner to your right.
I can't run, but I can lean into people if they're getting past me and make them fall.
You know, we used to have a runner, Patrick, and he was like the fastest guy ever, and he would like park in handicapped spots, and he would run in. Literally, he would see someone else's runner. By the way, having someone bet for you is perfectly legal as long as you're not paying them just to bet. They just have to have a percentage of the action. So you would have a percentage of the action. So
that's why I'm doing it.
Someone else's runner would be like slowly ambling towards the window, and our guy would just sprint past him, and boom! Pick off the off number at that particular book, and the other runner was like, oh, the line changed. Just oblivious to what had happened.
Yeah. You guys, how much poker will you get into? You mentioned some of the soft games, some fish you can find around the tables this week, a lot of inebriated peeps. Will you be able to play?
No, there won't be enough time. And in fact, my pet peeve, I hate the Hall of Fame bookmakers that talk about the night before the Super Bowl. And what do they do the night before the Super Bowl? Well, they go out to a gourmet dinner to like celebrate like the great year. Like this is as telling can be. I've worked for multiple betting syndicates, Patrick. We eat In-N-Out Burger. That would be a feast the night before the Super Bowl because oftentimes we're just skipping dinner because that's the point that the numbers start going crazy and there's no better place to have opportunity. If I was the casino owner, this is going to be harsh, but I'm going to say it. And my sportsbook director went out to a 3-hour dinner the night before the Super Bowl. He better freaking be in the office at 5 a.m. because, I mean, what are you doing? You've got, like, all these props and all this liability. If ever there was a night to, like, put the couch out and just work all night, and then you can take 2 weeks off after, I can't fathom the idea of that the night before, going out and just having a good old time the night before the Super Bowl. It's such an important day for sports books and for bettors.
You mentioned the volatility of the numbers. Now, generally speaking, when they come out initially, you have an opportunity to kind of get involved in them because you can kind of dictate which way the line move is going to go. You're going to have the best of the number. But explain a little bit more to people about the Saturday scenarios situation in terms of where the numbers might move or what's happening.
So Samish nailed this. I don't know if it was on your show. I caught him, and he was talking about if you like something that's a good story that the public is going to like, Mahomes' rush yards over, Mahomes' pass yards over, Taylor Swift's bow to go over in terms of his reception yards, Pacheco to go over, C-Mac to get more yards. All of these guys are going to be extremely popular with the public, and so likely you're going to see Christian McCaffrey's rush yard number go up from 90 and close like 94, 95. So get at it. If you like it, get at it before the public starts betting. Public hasn't even made it to town yet. So if you like a good story, guys like that, get down now. And conversely, if you don't like it, then fade those guys right before post. If Dustin can cut the lines for me at the square ball joints, and it wouldn't surprise me. We've gotten unbelievable good unders right at post on the Super Bowl.
Where do you think the total line ends up? We're 47.5 right now.
There's been a pattern that I've seen throughout the past 10 years that the Vegas total is 3/4 of a point higher than the offshore total. So by example, I think the offshore number closes 47, and I think Vegas, literally, most of the books close 48, maybe a couple of them 47.5, because, again, so much square money betting the over that inevitably Vegas has to be a little bit higher to try to balance their books.
Patrick, we already see the number tick up half a point, which Steve referenced. It just surprises me a little bit when you look at Kansas City's offense combined with Kansas City's defense that people are jumping potentially on this over.
Sure, because the best group on the field is obviously the Kansas City defense,
yep.
Right? That's not even close, right? And so you look at the Kansas City offense. Yeah, they have got a quarterback that helps them, but they have no receivers. And it's true. One thing that does San Francisco has morphed a little bit in that they've gone from a dominant defense and a dominant offense, where that defense has been leaking oil left and right here the last, really a little bit in the second half of the season, but definitely in the playoffs. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's just because they had to play Green Bay and Detroit, right? So they had to play 2 top 5 offenses. So maybe I can give them a little bit of a pass for it. But let's face it, in today's NFL with the cover twos, it's really hard to get to 50 points. And because of that, 48 does look too high.
Professional handicapper Steve Fezzik, look at him. He's picking up the energy. He's got boundless. I'm telling you, the guy is naturally caffeinated.
Slept 12
He's going to be fine all week. Now, let me ask you this. I could tell you meant business because when you sent over your notes today, it was on a spreadsheet. Now, you always send copious notes, but today a spreadsheet? What's up with that, Fez?
Oh, well, I give my clients like a basic strategy guide to betting the Super Bowl. So, like, I'm like, you know what? I probably should just go ahead and email it to you guys, but since I don't have all your emails, I said I'll just snap a photo and text it and make you guys squint, but you get the same information.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous. So we're going to go through some of it. And why don't we just start with the basics? I mean, at the top, basic Super Bowl betting strategy, maybe we could talk about the mistakes you see so often.
Everybody wants to bet a little to win a lot. So often you're seeing people like, I want to bet that Mahomes will throw between 240 and 249 yards, the long shots, the needle in the haystack. They want to bet 8-1s, 12-1s, 15-1s. The truth is, most of the plus props are atrocious. Those are the ones you're really going to get beat up on, because if anything, there's maybe break even or slight value on the minuses, and the pluses are terrible. Now, the poster child of this, will there be 3 consecutive scores? The pros love betting yes. And they'll lay like minus $1.60, but it might come down because the public says these are 2 equal teams. How is a team going to score 3 straight times? I can tell you how they're going to score 3 straight times. You look at the evenly played San Francisco-Detroit game. Well, San Francisco scored 5 straight times in that game. You look at the low-scoring Super Bowl of the Titans and the Rams, and that game obviously was tied 16-all until the final minutes. Well, guess what? Both teams, not one team, both teams scored 3 consecutive times in that Super Bowl. It happens way, way more than you would ever think.
Yeah, I think on the surface people look at it and they don't think that's possible or plausible, but as you said, it happens all the time. Just one quick distinction on that one, Patrick. The extra point does not count as a separate score. I've heard people ask that question. So just to clarify, it's touchdown, field goal, what have you. And
safety does count, yeah. Yeah, you got it.
I love the fact that Steve comes straight from his personal gym, his personal home gym at Caesars, and is ready and fired up to go. We've got the notes. And I will say this. You've been asking about me growing out my hair. Look at you with the head of lettuce, my man. That thing is popping right now. It looks good.
I asked Caesars, can I go into the spa area to use the dressing room? And they're like, well, you know, you're a 7-star, sir, but you're not staying here, so there will be a charge. And I'm like, looks like I'm going to the chapel bathroom to change clothes and alienate every groom and every groom to be. Yes.
6 days out from Super Bowl 58. Why don't we pick up with what I just asked you during the break? A professional on Super Bowl Sunday. Give us the setup.
So the value is going to be the hour before kickoff when the public shoves all their money through the windows, and inevitably the books are looking to balance now. And mostly the value is on the nose, betting no against something happening. The poster child of this was we used to be able to bet no overtime, and you could literally risk minus 600. And it got down one year. The lowest we saw was like a minus 450 at Harrah's. So think about this. The chance of overtime is like 5%. And you could wager like 4,500 to go ahead and make $1,000 back. It was one of the best wagers. Now it's 1 in 56 as far as overtime games. There should have been more overtimes. There's certainly we can thank the New England kicker for there not being more. But still, it was a tremendous moneymaker. But it's not as good as it once was. But still, the public will absolutely bet pluses that they think it's going to occur. Now, to be fair, the public won with safeties. They've been betting, yes, there'll be a safety. And I think there's actually reasons why a Super Bowl safety is more likely than a regular season safety. I know that I'm past posting here, and I apologize for that. But bets like that, I'm not adverse to laying minus 700. There's a bet I just saw minus 3,000 that I'm going to make because it's so unlikely that it's going to occur. I just hate tying up money on bets like that. But absolutely, and the star players, everyone's going to bet on Mahomes. They're going to bet on Christian McCaffrey. They're going to bet on Deebo Samuel. So here's a strategy I want everyone to do. It's called the 8 of clubs strategy, after my friend, the 8 of clubs, professional bettor that doesn't want to be named, so he tries to just blend in. What's the most innocuous card in the deck? The 8 of clubs. So write down every single number where it is now for Mahomes, for pass yards, for completions, for Pacheco, everybody. I want you to lock that in a drawer, and then I want you to open it up on Sunday. And then I want you to write down all the numbers that are going to be there 1 hour before kickoff. Any number that has steamed up, gone up significantly, I want you to fade that, shop for your best number, and play under against that steam. You will do really well with just that strategy every Super Bowl.
Steve, I want to ask you quickly. You mentioned there was a minus 3,000, a minus $7 favorite that you like. Explain to people why some of the, I know famously you had the Purdue situation a little bit different, but that's a game situation. But there are certain plays that even though they have a high juice, the likelihood of it happening, to just do the math on it, doesn't equate to what the odds are on the minus, so you're better off laying that number.
Well, the no overtime is the easiest, right? So if you bet no overtime, and people are like, oh, you're past posting. It's like, I've been betting this bet since the 90s. I wrote an article on Blackjack Forum that you, let's say you have to lay minus 1,000, which was a slam dunk to get. So you're literally making $1,000. You risk $10,000 to win 1,000, and you win $56,000 on the 56 Super Bowls that don't go overtime, and you lose $10,000 on the one that did. And you could argue, well, Fez, there should have been 3 overtimes. Fine. Okay, so maybe I should have won only $53,000 and lost $30,000. You're still netting out $23,000. Now, this is the sort of bet that's way better to make if you can do it on credit. But even if you don't, as long as you have money, let's say you've got money in a bond fund earning 5% a year, right? Take the money out of the bond fund the day before, bet the no overtime, and put the money back into the bond fund the day after. And you see where I'm going. That I don't know very many professional bettors. Let's say they've got like a betting bankroll of $500,000, they're broke, right? When the kickoff hits on the Super Bowl, maybe they saved a little for live wagering because there's too many bets like that just have plus EV. They don't return a lot, but they're clear positive expectation bets. Why? Because the public wants to bet a little to win a lot, and they're betting the opposite of all those numbers.
I love the 8 of club betting method. Again, it may sound simplistic when it's said, but it's something that if you really do it and execute, you're going to win some money. So again, 8 of club method, write down all the player props now, put it in a drawer, open it up before the game, and then a lot of those are going to be inflated. Also, just going through some of your tenets here, it's one game. You said don't be a Dumbo and bet 3 times what you normally bet on a side in total.
Yeah, now I get it. Every now and then there's a Super Bowl where the public just takes a hold and the number's just wrong. Example, Denver Broncos catching 11 against the Green Bay Packers, all right? John Elway getting 11 because Elway's a loser and he gets crushed in Super Bowls until he won that one. So it does happen. Billy Walters famously did bet huge on Denver in that game. But in most games, I'm not saying every Super Bowl is lined absolutely correctly, but like Tampa Bay against the Raiders comes to mind. The Tampa was catching 3.5 and wrong team favored. And you could argue Tampa Bay was a really good bet against Kansas City. But I digress. Most of the time the line is right. And I assure you, your biggest bet of the year should not be on the Super Bowl most of the time. If there truly is a game that's really, really off, it's probably going to be like week 18 of the NFL where you can find all kind of lines that maybe are completely lined incorrectly. So don't go out there and make your biggest bet of the year just because it's the Super Bowl. Exercise some caution. I assure you there should be at least 10 props you're betting on that are better bets than what you'd be able to find betting the side or the total on this game.
Novelty props, will Mr. Fezzik be getting down?
But certainly, when you say novelty props, do you mean a virgin prop that just one place offers?
Yeah, or, obviously so much is going to be made about Taylor Swift and some of the ancillary stuff going on. And there's myriad books have just crazy novelty props. Are those something that you look into, or do you stick with the game specific?
Oh, no. I love a prop where someone puts up a number that no one else has ever priced before. I'll use an example. So Caesar's Palace put up a prop. What will be, in terms of time, the shortest scoring drive, not yardage, time in the Super Bowl, and they put it up, I think at 55.5 seconds. And I said to myself, wait a minute, I know that Mahomes might get the ball on his own 30 with 45 seconds left in the first half, and if he does, yeah, I can lose. But 55.5 seconds is so short. That's basically got to be a 1 or a 2 play drive most of the time. So I bet over 55.5 seconds. I thought it was like one of the most mispriced props. When I bet it, it was minus like 115 and then minus 155. Last I checked, it was minus 230. So those are the sort of props when someone tries to put something up that no one has ever put up before, you can find great value.
I love the point Steve just made there, Patrick. If you look at it, the only play you're probably going to get beat on potentially is if you look at the end of the game in a kneel-down situation, if they get the ball with less than 55 seconds remaining. Other than that, you're probably going to have any play that's inbounds, unless it's in 2 minutes, is going to take at least 35, 40 seconds.
Well, they got to score. So, I mean, it's got to be a scoring drive, not just a drive.
I'm sorry. I thought it was a single drive.
No, because there's going to be all kinds of drives where they go when they go run, incomplete pass, and punt, where you're going to get beat. But in this case, they have to score, and so obviously you could catch an 80-yard bomb. Yeah. I mean, it's no lock.
Sure.
Maybe if a team fumbles on their own 8, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm extremely vulnerable, but it's just very unlikely.
Don't be a sucker. This is for a lot of those of you that may be coming to town there in Las Vegas. Don't be a sucker and pay $500 or more for a seat in the sports book.
Yeah, that wanting to be in the sports book is completely wrong, and the sports book is absolutely, they're just taking advantage of the tourist. So if you want to be on the Las Vegas Strip and watch the big game, you know what? Go ahead and shop around. Look at some of the restaurants. There's all kinds of all-you-can-eat food and drink for $200 type of specials, and I assure you the experience that you're going to have is going to be light years better than crammed into a sports book, paying a ridiculous $500, which it isn't even a good seat necessarily. I know the screen is bigger, or go into I think it's the Westgate has like an enormous they open up their party.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to pay to go there, but that'll be a much better experience than going to an iconic sports book that's just creaming you on the price.
As far as props, you say avoid the sucker ties. Would you like to explain?
Avoid the the three-way European pricing where they used to say, like, who's going to get, like, at the end of the first quarter, all right, are you going to bet Kansas City or are you going to bet San Francisco? Or what's this? It can be a tie. So now if it lands a tie, if you bet KC or San Francisco, you lose. They scoop on you. And so the three-way pricing, they can hide all kinds of extra vig. So I'm seeing this more and more where they try to find something where there's a viable chance at a tie, and they include that in, and it becomes three-way pricing that becomes almost impossible to beat.
Whoever said you weren't a gentleman, you were just very gentlemanly there. You know what I'm saying?
No. I don't.
You didn't give names.
That's coming. That's coming, and what I believe is a violation of Nevada Reg 14. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Would you like? You know what? We'll give you the break to think about it, and maybe call your Esquire, and we'll see. Steve Fezzik, professional handicapper. How would you clean up the apps? We were just having the discussion. Is there a way that you would streamline or make them more efficient?
Oh, my goodness. So I tweeted, Patrick, I don't know if you saw this, but like all these fat cat executives that are working for these companies with new apps, they should be forced to make 10 bets. All right, like a little scavenger hunt. Okay, you've got to play a 6.5-point teaser. You've got to go ahead and bet this golf tournament for this player to win. Okay, you have to go ahead and buy a half point on this game, et cetera. And by the fifth bet, they'd be firing whoever designed their apps, because you literally have to be Magellan to be able to how to figure out how to navigate across all these apps and get home safely.
He's talking about one specific app, and he is absolutely right. It is a disaster. Dustin and I have talked about this off air. I mean, it's truly unbelievable how difficult it is. By the way, Patrick, every time you're getting ready to make a wager, the whole thing refreshes.
It refreshes and takes you to the front page, not where you just were. To the very front page of opening the app.
Or they just randomly ask me, how's my app experience going?
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
As the line
it's
moves.
going freaking terrible. Stop asking me. And also what happened is they had a design of an app that worked. And then here comes the new version where they can put in the same game parlay, which is just so they can pump their profits extra high. But they give an app that's like far, far worse. And it's like, why can't I just go back to the previous version and use that alternatively?
They mentioned the same game parlay like they're curing cancer over here. I mean,
it's fun. It's fun. You know, if you're betting $5 same game parlays, you want to bet. I'm fine with you having a great recreational experience. If you want to go ahead and bet $5 on 20 different things and make them all like long shots and same game parlays, that's A-okay. It's fine to like take $100 and just have fun with it. People going out there golfing at Rio Seco. I'm not jumping over my fence screaming at people. What are you doing, donking off $100? But it's not fun betting $100 on like 30 of these things. So you're betting like $3,000. It is altogether possible. I learned this like my first time I came to Vegas. It was a Denver Broncos San Francisco Super Bowl. Guy next to me, I see him tearing up a ticket. He's like, I can't believe I blew a buck on him. On that ticket, I retrieved it. Sammy Winder to score the first touchdown. 5-1. Should have been 15-1. Even then, I mean, the whole team maybe should have been 5-1. And he bet on Sammy Winder. You know, the guy that went like, thump.
No, we don't know. He retired in 1990.
He's talking about Super Bowl 24.
There you go. And so my point is, bets like that, don't just – it's fine to make recreational bets. It's fine to play roulette. We've talked about this. It's A-okay to have a good time. Just don't bet real money. You're not going to win. So, you just have a good time and bet $5 on such things.
Good opportunity. If you'd like to make a same-game parlay, you can get it over at DraftKings. And Steve is so deep in the game when he's picking up random dudes' tickets and criticizing the bets. 5-1, that should have been 15-1. That's when you're married to the game.
You're married to the game when you find like that people don't realize like on like the teasers a loss and a tie is a tie, and so you used to see in Vegas people would just throw away all their tickets and people like getting the trash cans and going through all of them looking for them.
I'll tell you a story. This is when Penn State played Florida State, USC Texas Rose Bowl. And my best friend and I, we came out here, we bet a teaser, and we didn't realize, first of all, you shouldn't bet college football teasers. We make the teaser bet, and we end up pushing on the Penn State game. He goes, hell with it. It's a lot of money. Let me send it in to see if it works. And they send a check back. Right. And it's to your point. We didn't even know at that point in time what the rules and regulations on it were, and that's something that's so important that you know very well.
Steve, let's talk about the side and total here and just what you think will happen over the next 6 days. So a 2.5 open, minus 2.5 for you, San Francisco. And then we're sitting 47, and I got you. We're getting 47 on the over-under total, however you'd like to present it. What do you think happens from here on out?
Yeah, that's my pet peeve when all these too cool for school bookmakers say San Fran is 2.5, and it's like, can't we just make it so a sharp fifth grader understands? Everyone understands that San Fran is minus 2.5. I'm like the old guy. Get off my lawn and just make it absolutely clear to everyone, and always include the minus, because there are times when the favorite flips. What's an interesting dynamic right now in town? Westgate is at 2.5. Every other book has 2, but Westgate has San Fran minus 2.5. Kansas City plus 2.5. So think about this. If any book tells you, oh, we just got some action from one of our sharps, and he played plus 2 on Kansas City. There's a movie, The Running Man, where Richard Dawson plays the villain. Killian is lying to you, and here's why. If you're betting in Vegas, how sharp could you possibly be to go and bet $10,000 plus 2 when all you have to do is go over the Westgate, and they'll take a big bet plus 2.5. By definition, it cannot be sharp, because you could have just, maybe you want to bet a ton of money. Well, fine. You would bet the plus 2.5, and then you'd bet plus 2 after the Westgate moved. So don't believe any sports book that's telling you we're taking sharp action on Kansas City plus 2. It is impossible right now with that, as long as that 2.5 is sitting out there. Where does it go?
Eventually, yep.
I didn't answer the question. I'm bad at
No,
that.
it's okay.
I think this closes 1.5. I still think Kansas City money will come at the end. Mahomes catching points, but I've been wrong. I've been wrong twice. It never really came in against Buffalo. That line stayed 2 3/4, and it never came in against Baltimore when famously Jeff Sherman tweeted, "We're up to 5, boys. Fezzik, I know you bet plus 3.5. You might want to get your butt over here to Circa and bet the plus 5." Of course, I was scared, like I was shaking my boots. Oh my God, all the money is against me. And then looking back on it, what was Lamar Jackson laying 5 against Patrick Mahomes? What was that, Patrick?
That's a great question. And I was one of the Dumbos on the wrong side, I believe. The season itself, because of the piece in Survivor, was it a mammoth season, a moderate season? Where were you as we come to an end here?
B+. It had the potential to be like an A. I was thinking I was going to finish top 5 circa millions. So Survivor was a nice bonus. But I got to tell you, more so than any other season, everyone else had a good time. They really enjoyed. They're like, I can't believe the season's just flying by. I got sick like 3 times. I overworked. It was just an interminable season where it was just like, God, am I going to survive this season? It was. You saw me come in a couple times, and I could barely get through the segment. So, it was. I got to figure out a way to streamline my efforts such that I just get more sleep and it's not so difficult.
You want me to give you tips on taking care of your body?
I do. Talk to me.
I got none. Look at this one. I broke mine.
You can't say a few of the tips on the air. I wanted to back up a second with the apps. Could you give bettors that are just getting into it, they know nothing but apps, Steve, just give them an idea, the contrast of how it used to be to now, the proliferation of the sports betting app?
Yeah, well, the 2 best apps in town, in my opinion, are the Westgate and the and Circa, and it's so easy to find what you're looking for. You navigate, boom, it's obvious. Here's your balance. If you click on pending, here's your pendings. You go ahead and it'll show you how much you have in pending and what your current cash available is. And if you go to make a bet, it takes 3 seconds to find the sport you're betting on, as opposed to some of these apps in town. I'm not making this up. It's like you have to be fluent in their app to even find out how to log in. It's like you got to know, you got to click on this top right-hand corner. It, like the first time you use it, it would take someone like 2 minutes just to figure out how to get into their app. Oh, and they log you out. A place that logs you out after 2 minutes because he's attempting to bet.
The worst.
Log him out. Don't let him in. And then, if your fat thumb puts the wrong password 3 times, for security reasons, you can't bet for 5 minutes. It's just
I just know,
insane.
All I know is if somebody was trying to have funding with a VC group right now with these apps, they'd get laughed out of the building. It's unbelievable. I don't even know how these things got to market.
Dustin, would you like to say something positive about DraftKings app?
Yeah, everything I could possibly dream of shows up there. It's like I think about it, I go to check the app, and it's there.
You know, I like the DraftKings players props because they do a really great job segmenting in terms of, and it makes sense, that's their specialty with, pricing all player props, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and the amounts. So it is a very easy to navigate on their site, and so I very much like that.
Patrick, it's unfortunate. Obviously, as employees, we can't bet at DraftKings, but the bigger things for people out here that are in the state of Nevada, they don't even have access to it. That's the bigger issue.
Were you busy on Saturday, Steve, with all the college hoops?
Oh gosh, yes. I was talking to my friend Pastrami. You'll get a kick out of this. He's screaming at me. I'm always screaming, and we share an account, so I'm betting on all day, and I break even on it. Okay, it was right around zero, and he's like, "What the?" He's cursing at me at my incompetence, not for losing, because he's like, Fez, you went into a shoe store. I gave you $200. You came out with $100 in one shoe. You know, it's like you got to do better.
Yes,
but I got a Gucci shoe for $100. Yeah, for my left foot. Wonderful.
Our buddy Pastrami is very intense. I can see the conversation happening. Well, thank you, Steve. We appreciate you, and good luck coming up on Sunday. Pregame.com, Fezzik Sports on Twitter. Steve, you get the last word. Anything about the Super Bowl?
Enjoy. Don't bet half what you think you want to bet. Just have a good time with your buddies.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.